Hi, my name's John. Welcome to another Sunday night nightcap. In tonight's nightcap, I do a job for a friend of mine. He owns a steamroller and he's bought two big beautiful lights, and I make some brackets to mount the lights onto the steamroller. There's a little bit of fabrication work, some welding work, possibly some plasma cutting, and definitely some screw cutting and fitting work. I hope you find it interesting. I was at our local steam rally last weekend, and one of the lads that owns this Fowler steamroller has bought a couple of lights for it, and he wants me to make some brackets to mount the lights onto the front forks. This is one of the lamps he's bought. The part next to it is the original mount. The lamp actually clipped onto there. I'm going to make a mounting to go onto there to support the lights. The lights are in really good condition. My friend Bob actually stripped and refurbished them. This photograph shows the distance from the original bracket to the centre of the light, just to give us something to work at. Unfortunately, the sound gremlins have struck again. This is the light in question, and that's the bracket that actually bolts onto the front fork of the steamroller, and the lamp slides on there. There's a bolt in the back that holds it into place. These are the mounting points on the new lamps, two basically 1/2-inch holes. I'm going to make a bracket that slides across there, or a mounting that slides across there, and then put a bit of flat bar onto it and use two stainless steel uprights or upstands to mount the light on. You've seen the pictures on the start of the video. I've also printed them off, and obviously they're much lower quality, so I can work with them in the garage, in the workshop, just to give us somewhere to go, basically, because obviously I can't have the steamroller here. It would be nice to have the steamroller here, but unfortunately that just isn't possible. You might be wondering why I'm cutting these with an angle grinder instead of my plasma cutter to get them nice and square. Well, the thing is, it's going to go onto something that's 100-year-old, and when they made these things, they weren't nice and neat and square. So I want to try and make them look not 100-year-old, but I don't want to make them look like you're just made today. So I'm going to clamp it onto there, warm it up, and then just knock those two around, and then on the other side I'll probably weld a thicker piece of metal on. That's the inside. Doesn't make any difference. We'll warm this up, get it bent round there nice and neatly, and then go from there. All the bolt does is stop the lamps from jumping off when they're actually in service. And a couple of decent clamps here. Right. So a little bit of warmth along there, and then just knock it over, and it's going to be nice, and it'll take the shape because that's tapered, it's not parallel. It would bend cool, but it wouldn't bend nice and tight like I wanted it to. So we'll get some warming up gear and get it bent. So by doing it this way, instead of just cutting it and welding it, it looks Well, it is handmade, isn't it? See how it looks? It looks old, it doesn't look like it's just been made. That's what we're trying to do. This bit's 3mm. I've got some at least 4mm, possibly 5mm there to go on the outside of it. Be able to cut that and get a nice weld down there. And the supporting bracket welds onto here, and that's not going to flex and break. I just want to make these once and we'll make them nice and strong. We'll cut that off, and once they're made we can trim the ends up, square them up. Looks good. We'll cut that off first and go from there. This vise on this stand is one of the best things I've ever made. It's ideal for this sort of work. I do it like grinding inside. Not only bad for you, you get dust on all your equipment. We're using this, it's quite pleasant. This is on a steel welding table, but I always put an extra earth on as well, just to make sure. We'll go tacks on and we'll take it apart and weld it. Right, that's biting in really hard. I'll take the bolt out now. Take it off and then weld it. Not going to go anywhere. I know I shouldn't be using them, but I'm going to. I've also marked these because they're both slightly different sizes. I'll probably have to open that bolt hole up as well slightly when we come to assemble them. But let's just be half rough, John. Use a semi-spanner. Right. Now when it's come off, you wonder. So that's pretty good. Possibly have to elongate that hose slightly, but I think we can safely weld it now. I'll bring the camera in closer and we'll weld the other one. I'm really liking this welding table, it's been very, very useful. We want a nice bead and make down there. Right, that's not going to go very far, I don't think. Nothing's the matter with that. These are the settings I did use to weld it. Using 0.8 wire. I've set it at 4mm and I did have to turn the wire down a little bit just to get it to weld the way I liked it. Right, I've dressed and trimmed these to size and they do fit on there quite nicely, and the little retaining bolt goes straight in. That bit there fastens onto the fork of the steamroller, that's it there. And this, the angle of this, I'm sure it lies in slightly towards the top. I don't think it's straight up and down. It's difficult when I haven't got the thing here to find out. On that picture there, it does look straight up and down. But the idea is to weld a piece of that heavy flat bar on there like that. And there'll be two supports coming up from there that will support the light. Something like that. That's the general idea. I've got a distance he wants the light away from the centre, so I have got something to work from. But unfortunately I haven't got the ruler here obviously. And this stuff will bend once it's on, and you will have adjustment on the two uprights to get it absolutely spot on. I've got some more pictures on my phone, I'll have another look, but I'm sure that lies in slightly towards the top, which means I'm going to have to weld the bar on, not at 90 degrees, but like a slight angle like that. It's basically guesswork now, because I haven't got access to the roller. I've decided just to weld them on straight up and down, and if he wants to bend them, he can heat that and then bend it, but there is adjustment on the two posts. I'm going to tack this on using TIG this time, and then mark out some drill holes. I've just cut this roughly to length. Well, I've cut a bit of bar I had in half. So we'll put two good tacks on either side and then go from there. A lot of this is just sort of eyeballing it and making it look right. It looks good there, so just in case you're wondering, I can weld equally as bad left-handed or right-handed, doesn't make any difference. Right, we've got a couple of decent tacks on there. Right, so that's slipped onto there, and then the nice lamp goes onto there like that, and it'll be held up on 2 bits of studding. That looks pretty good. And not be studding, it'll be stainless steel bar threaded with dome nuts on. And I can safely weld onto there now. Do some measurements, cut this to length, and there's some drilling and tapping to do. I'll TIG weld that on, and then we'll go from there. In fact, I'll get the other one to the same stage as this one. The bastard, that was warm. Hammer, join that hammer. Right. Which is which? That's A, that's B. That one goes on there, and that one goes onto there. I want to make sure that they're both level. I want to kick the arse off. That one wants to go down a little bit. They're strong tacks, very strong. So we'll ease this one up a little bit. Looks good to me. Very good. I've been looking at the pictures on my phone, and that was to be 115 from the side of that. At least that's what it said on the large drone. At least that's what it said in the picture. 115. Tape's absolutely fucked, look at it. I could do with a better tape. 115 to the centre, which is basically about there, kind of where it wants to go. So I'm going to have the 2 nice bits of stud, and you can put any height you want really. Needs to be a fair bit higher than that. So I need to mark basically one of those holes somehow. Dropping it down through there. So put a little mark on just to give us the first stud hole, and then we can go from there. Like I say, nothing is super critical as long as they're both the same. That's probably the most important thing. Kind of get this welding rod straight up and down. Nice, I think that's a pretty good starter. I'll go there. And we've got to the centre of the light 115. I think they're going to go about that height like that. I'm terrified having that thing in here in case I bump it or damage it. They were actually reconditioned by my friend Bob. They want to repost it, and he spent a lot of time sorting them out. So I've got a hole now. We can drill that one, round this off. I've got some studding that used to temporarily set them up. I'd like to try it on the engine to see what height he wants them